Hey everybody, today we're going to show you how to find all 126 Korok seeds here in the Hyrule field in Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Our first seed is going to be found northwest of Lookout Landing over by the Castle Town prison. It's going to be right next to the prison. You're going to find 3 statues with a cluster of leaves traveling around those statues. Interact with them and you'll get seed number 1. Number 2 is located just north of the Castle Town prison at the very end of the path next to the water. When you get up here, you're going to find a dock and an acorn in the water at the end. Hit that acorn with an arrow and you'll get seed number 2. Numbers 3 and 4 are going to be found just northwest of the Castle Town prison on the little hill right over here by the dock. And once you make your way over here, you're going to find our little Korok buddy hanging out on top of a rock. And once you interact with him, you'll see we need to take him across the water on top of the hill over there. So the easiest way to do this is to make yourself an airplane. You can make a boat, but there's not really a good area to land a boat on this little island. So it's easier to just fly an airplane up the side of the rocks and remove the Korok and place him with his buddy. But once you interact, you'll get your next 2 seeds. Number 5 is going to be found on the Castle Town Prison Island on the far southwestern side up on top of this hill near the tree. And once you make it up here, you're going to find a little piece of wood right next to the tree that you can walk on. And that's going to spawn a yellow circle down over all the trees. So all we need to do is fly over top all the trees over here to this little hill, jump through the yellow circle. And once we do, the Korok will pop up and we'll get seed number 5. Number 6 is going to be found on the far southwestern side of the Castle Town Prison Island. This one's going to be literally in the corner right next to the water. And once you get down here, you'll find a circle of rocks with one missing. The one missing is literally right over here to the side. Just go ahead and pick that up, drop it into place. And once you do, the Korok will appear and we'll get seed number 6. Number 7 is found on the far southeastern side of the Castle Town Prison, right near the bridge that gets you across. And once you make it over here to the bridge, all we need to do is look underneath over here on the side, and you're going to find a balloon that's floating underneath the bridge. Go ahead and hit that thing with an arrow, and once you do, you'll get seed number 7. Number 8 is going to be found just northeast of the Moat Bridge. On your map, you'll actually be able to see the wall that kind of comes over here near the water. And you want to go to the section of the wall that's broken off, the smaller section. And once you get up here, you'll find a rock that you can pick up. And once you pick it up, you'll get seed number 8. Number 9 is going to be found just south of the Moat Bridge, just to the west of this little pond that's down here. And once you get over here, you'll find a little puzzle that we need to solve. The piece is on top, and we just need to rotate this to look like the letter U, and then rotate it upwards so that it looks like it's laying down. And once you have the laying down U shape, you just need to fit this right in the middle. It could be a little difficult, but once you get it lined up, you'll fit it in, complete the cross, and you'll get seed number 9. Number 10 is just northwest of the quarry ruins up on top of this mountain. And once you make it up on top of this mountain, you're just going to find a little cluster of leaves traveling around in the grass. Just interact with those and you'll get seed number 10. Number 11 is going to be found just north of Mount Gustav, right over here by the Mount Gustav well. And once you make your way over here, you're going to find this cool looking tunnel. All we need to do is go through that tunnel. And if you look up, you're going to find a piece of wood on the ceiling. We need to ascend through that piece of wood, and once you make it up top, you're going to get seed number 11. Number 12 is going to be found on the far eastern side of Mount Gustav, and on your map, you're going to see one single tree over here. Make your way to that tree, you'll find a hole in the side. All we need to do is shoot the acorn inside, and once we hit that acorn, we'll get seed number 12. Number 13 is on the mountaintop that's just west of Lookout Landing. You guys can see the exact location here, and we're going to play a pretty easy game of follow the flower. The first one's going to be found right in the middle of the mountain, and it's going to lead you over here to the ledge, and essentially what you want to do is jump down to the lower rocks, and it's going to lead you to this wall right here to our right. So the flowers will start spawning on this wall. We're going to travel all the way down this wall until we get inside. And you'll have to be careful here. It's a little tricky. You need to run and jump before you get to this ladder so that you can fly across. We're going to climb up the other ladder, make our way to the top. And once you do, you'll get seed number 13. For number 14, you want to head southwest of Lookout Landing. And on your map, you're going to see a huge cluster of trees. We want to be on the southern side of these trees. You're going to find a tree stump with a pinwheel on it. Just climb up on that tree stump, and we're going to have 5 balloons we need to hit. 2 on the right side, and then we're going to have 2 right over here on the left side. And once you hit those 4, just look straight up, and the 5th balloon is going to be right above you. And once you connect with all 5, the Korok will appear, and we'll get seed number 14. Number 15 is just west of Lookout Landing, and if you look on your map on this little mountainside here, we're going to have a single tree. Work your way to this tree, and once you get over here, you'll find a giant balloon hiding up in the leaves. Hit that thing with an arrow and we'll get seed number 15. Number 16 is west of Lookout Landing. You'll see on the top of this hill here on our map is going to be a monster forces base that we need to get inside of. The easiest way to do this is to throw a rocket on the back of your shield and fly your way up, and all we need to do is land on the rocky portion of this base, and you'll see on the top is going to be a small rock we can pick up that rock, and we'll get seed number 16. Number 17 is located just north of Giant's Forest, and you'll see on your map we have a couple little smaller trees out here on the northern side. There's going to be a rock in between them, and if you climb to the top, there'll be a smaller rock that you can pick up, and once you pick that thing up, we'll get seed number 17. Number 18 is found on the southeastern side of the Giant's Forest. You guys can see our exact location here. And once you make it over here, you'll find a giant tree stump with a dandelion on the top. Hit that dandelion, and all we need to do is catch it before it touches the ground. If you end up falling, just grab it down here before it touches the ground. And once you do, you'll get seed number 18. Number 19 is found on the northern side of the Sage Temple Ruins. You guys can see our location, and we're going to go into the building that's on this northern side. You guys are going to find a puzzle. This one is super easy. We just need to pick up the piece on the right and drop it over here on the left to create the staircase. And once you do, we'll get seed number 19. Number 20 is located just north of Mount Daphne's. You guys will see the ancient tree stump, and we want to work our way out to that stump. And if we go to the back side on the little ledge, is going to be a piece of wood. We can jump on that, and then we're going to just fly our way across to this target. And if we land on the target without touching the ground, we're going to get the Korok to pop up, and we'll get seed number 20. Number 21 is also north of Mount Daphne's. It's actually going to be right at the beginning of the bridge that leads out to the ancient tree stump. And all we need to do is look under the bridge here, and you're going to see an acorn hanging down. Go ahead and hit that acorn with an arrow, and we'll get seed number 21. Number 22 is going to be found on the peak of Mount Daphne. So work your way to the top of the mountain here. And once you get up top, you'll find a circle of rocks with one missing. The one missing rock is right over here on the ledge. You can pick that up and make sure that you drop this into place. If you don't get it right, the Korok won't pop up. But once you get it there, the Korok will appear and you'll get seed number 22. Number 23 is going to be found just north of the Gliok Bridge. You can see the location of that bridge here. And once you make it up here, you'll find a small rock with an even smaller rock behind it. Go ahead and pick up that smaller rock, and once you do, we'll get seed number 23. Number 24 is going to be found southwest of the Gliok Bridge. Again, we're going to be alongside the river here. And once you get over here, it'll be pretty easy to spot, especially at night. You're going to have a tree stump hanging off the side with a dandelion on the top. Hit that dandelion with a sword or an arrow and catch it before it hits the ground. And once you do, we'll get seed number 24. Numbers 25 and 26 are going to be found together just east of the Safula Hill across the river, right before you get to this unnamed bridge on my map. And you're going to find our little Korok buddy hanging out next to a tree, and once you interact with him, you'll see we need to take him pretty far down the river. Now, this one is a pretty good distance, so I definitely think it's worth making yourself a little airplane so that we don't have to waste too much time carrying him all the way down there. It is a pretty decently long flight, so definitely worth using the airplane. But once you fly over here, just go ahead and drop them off, interact, and we'll get our next two seeds. Number 27 is also found southeast of the Safula Hill. You guys will see this unnamed bridge on my map. I believe it's called the Manala Bridge. But once you make your way over here, you're going to find an acorn hanging from the bottom of it. Go ahead and hit that with an arrow, and you'll get seed number 27. Number 28 is found just southeast of the Delight Forest down by the river. And once you make your way down to the river over here, you're going to find a small rock right in the middle. All we need to do is swim our way to that rock, and once we pick it up, the Korok will appear and we'll get seed number 28. Number 29 is going to be found over on the outskirt hill, and you guys can see on our map we have a couple little structures here. For this one, we just need to replace a roof. So the piece is going to be right here on the ground. We can go ahead and pick that up. And then we just need to rotate this thing around a couple times and we'll drop this into place to complete the roof. The Korok will appear and we'll get seed number 29. Number 30 is found on the far southwestern side of the outskirt hill. And if you make your way over here on the water side, you'll find a puzzle on the ledge. All we need to do is pick up the piece, rotate it upside down, and then drop it into place. And once you do so, you'll get seed number 30. Number 31 is just east of the Dig Dog Suspension Bridge. You'll see on your map we have a couple trees over here. You want to climb the tree that doesn't have any leaves on it. And when you get to the top, you're going to find a small rock sitting up here. All we need to do is pick up this rock, and it can be a little tricky, so try to get the right angle so it allows you to pick it up. And once you pick that thing up, we'll get seed number 31. Number 32 is just northeast of the Dig Dog suspension bridge over here by the stable. And once you make it over to the stable, just south is going to be a pile of logs. Inside of one of those logs is an acorn. Hit that acorn with an arrow and we'll get seed number 32. Numbers 33 and 34 are going to be found in the same spot as our last seed, this time just east of the stable on this little hill. And once you get over here, you'll find our little Korok buddy hanging out on the ledge. Interact with him and you'll see that we need to take him up on the cliffside behind us. Now what we're going to do is come right over here and climb up on these rocks. And we're going to have a couple of these. You can use either or, but we're going to take these square metal pieces. We're going to take one and put it next to the edge of the hill. And then what we need to do is spawn one of these little hot air balloons that we can attach to the middle. And when you do this, it can be challenging. Make sure you get this attached perfectly. And then we're going to put the flame emitter on the inside. And now all we need to do is throw our little Korok buddy on there. And we're just going to fly our way up to the top of the mountain. We'll go ahead and hop on. We'll get it as close to the mountain as we can, hop on, hit it, and we're just going to slowly float all the way up to the top. Now you'll see here, I almost ran out of juice, so I needed to go into my inventory and use a couple Zonai charges so that we didn't run out. But the easiest way to do this is to just hold the Korok while you're flying up so you can drop them off the side. And once you drop them off, interact, and you'll get your next 2 seeds. Number 35 is going to be found on the far southwestern side of the Aquame Lake. You guys can see we'll be on the little ledge right down here. Once you get over here, you'll find 2 statues. One statue is going to have an apple in the plate. All we need to do is add another apple in the other plate. And once both are there, the Korok will appear and we'll get seed number 35. Number 36 is going to be found over by the Aquame Lake Bridge. We're going to start from the southern side of the bridge. And once you're here, just work your way to the middle and take a left where this little opening is. And if you look down, you'll see we have a circle of lily pads. We just need to dive through the middle of those and we'll get seed number 36. Number 37 is going to be just southeast of the Colosseum ruins. You guys will actually see a small pond here on your map. And once you make it over here, we just need to shoot the dandelion that's on top of the structure and just make sure that we catch this thing before it touches the ground. And if you do so correctly, we'll get seed number 37. Number 38 is going to be found just south of Lake Colomo and just north of the Great Plateau North Chasm. You'll see this little mountaintop here. And on the top is going to be a small piece of wood that we can walk over. It'll spawn a yellow circle on the other rock. We're just going to fly our way across, go through the yellow circle, and we'll get seed number 38. For number 39, you're going to head just west of Lake Colomo. You guys can see our exact location right here. And you're going to find a big rock with a small rock on the top. Pick up the small rock, and we'll get seed number 39. Number 40 is going to be found right in the middle of Lake Colomo. You guys can see a small island as well as a dotted circle. We're going to swim out to that little island and you'll find a circle of rocks with one missing. That missing rock is going to be over here on the side behind some weeds. You guys will see it right alongside the water. Go ahead and pick that thing up and bring it right over here to the circle. And once you drop that thing into place, the Korok will pop up and we'll get seed number 40. Number 41 is just north of Lake Colomo. You'll see a whole bunch of trees on your map, but one tree is going to be much bigger. Make your way to the bigger tree and we're going to climb up top where you'll find a small rock. Pick up the small rock when you get up here, if you can get up here. And once you do, you'll get seed number 41. Numbers 42 and 43 are going to be found together just east of Mount Daphne's. You guys will see we're just south of the shrine location. And once you get over here, you'll find our little Korok buddy hanging out on the path. And we need to take him in the direction of the Skyview Tower. Now, the easiest way to do this is obviously to make yourself a little airplane and use Ascend to get it off the ground. Just make sure if you do this that you don't run into the columns here, as that can cause some major issues in your flight. You can also just follow the path and walk him there. It's just going to take you quite some time and you shouldn't run into too many enemies. But once you get here, just interact and we'll get our next 2 seeds. Number 44 is going to be found just northwest of the Wind Vane Meadow. You guys will see a cluster of trees up here. Once you're up here, we just need to climb to the top of the very short and fat tree. It'll be the biggest one out here, and pick up the small rock that's on top. And once you do, we'll get seed number 44. Number 45 is found over in the Hyrule Garrison Ruins. We're going to be on the northern side. You can actually see a small circle on your map here, but we're just going to work our way to the little fountain and pick up the small rock that's on top of the rundown fountain. And once you pick that rock up, we'll get seed number 45. Number 46 is east of the Hyrule Garrison Ruins. You'll see on your map we have one big tree surrounded by a couple small ones. Work your way over to the big tree, and on the side is going to be a hole with an acorn inside. Hit that acorn with an arrow and we'll get seed number 46. For For number 47, we're going to head just south of the Hyrule Field Chasm. You guys can see the shrine right here, and we're actually going to climb up on top of the tall rock right behind the shrine. You can climb it, or you can put a rocket on your shield, but either way, once you're up here, just pick up the small rock that's on top, and we'll get seed number 47. Number 48 is going to be found within the ranch ruins, and on your map you'll see we have a small square right over here next to the trees. That's going to be a little rundown tower. If we climb to the top of that rundown tower, we're going to find a pile of leaves. Hit those leaves with your sword and pick up the small rock that's underneath, and once you do, we'll get seed number 48. Number 49 is going to be found just east of the ranch ruins, right before you get to all the trees. You guys can see our exact location right off the path here. There's going to be a log sticking up out of the ground with an acorn inside. Hit that acorn with an arrow and we'll get seed 49. Number 50 is going to be found on the northwestern side of the bottomless pond. And once you make it right over here to this location, if you look over the pond, you'll see a small ledge with a rock. We're going to fly on over there and pick up the rock, and that's going to give us seed number 50. Number 51 is southeast of the bottomless pond, and you'll see on your map there's an even smaller pond over here. This is where we want to be, and once you get over here, you'll see a small rock right on the side of the water. Go ahead and pick that up, and we'll get seed number 51. Number 52 is found on the very top of Whistling Hill. You'll see on your map we have a couple trees up here on top of the hill, and there's going to be a cluster of leaves that's just traveling around those trees. Interact with those leaves and we'll get seed number 52. Number 53 is just west of Whistling Hill. You guys will see a small forest here on your map. And if you work your way to the southern side of the forest, you'll find a pretty big tree stump with a dandelion on the top. Go ahead and hit this thing with an arrow or with your sword, and as long as you catch it before it touches the ground, you'll get seed number 53. Numbers 54 and 55 are going to be found together just southwest of Whistling Hill. You guys can see we're actually right next to the Tenitin Shrine, and it'll be pretty easy to find. Our little Korok buddy's just going to be hanging out in the grass here. And once you interact with him, you'll see we need to take him all the way over to the woods, which is actually a pretty good distance from where we're at. The easiest way to do this, again, just use yourself an airplane if you have the materials to make one. But as you guys can see on the flight over there, it's a pretty basic path. There's not much in your way and you shouldn't encounter too many enemies. But once you get over here, drop them off and we'll get our next 2 Korok seeds. For number 56, we're going to head southeast of the Forest of Time. On your map, you're going to see a big hill with a tower. We need to climb to the top of that tower. So go ahead and climb up the ladder. You're going to find a pinwheel on the end. We're going to have to hit 3 balloons. One's on top and 2 are in the middle. These aren't too difficult to hit. If you want to wait, you guys can see they're just going to do a circle around the tower and then stop. But once you hit all 3 of those balloons, you'll get seed number 56. Numbers 57 and 58 are going to be found together just southwest of the Forest of Time, right along the main path here. You'll find our little Korok buddy hanging out near this broken down wall. We're going to need to take him on top of the ruins behind us. Now, the easiest way to do this is to pick him up and carry him closer. And we're going to use 2 rockets. We're going to put one facing straight up and one at an angle. That way he'll be able to not only get the height, but also be able to clear the wall here and make it up top without falling back down. And once you do that, we can just throw a rocket on our shield and fly our way up. And then you just have to look for him. It's pretty open up here, so you shouldn't have problems finding him. He's just right over here in the open for me. But pick him up and drop him off at the campsite, interact with his buddy, and we'll get the next 2 seeds. Number 59 is found just northeast of Scouts Hill. You guys can see again our exact location here on the screen. And once you get over here, you'll find our wooden stand as well as the boulder in the hole in the ground. Go ahead and pick up that boulder and put it in the wooden stand right above it. And once you do, you'll get seed number 59. Number 60 is located on the very top of Scouts Hill. On the top of this hill, there's going to be a little tower or a building. And when you get up here, we're just going to play a game of follow the flower that's going to slowly work its way up the side of the building here. There's a good chance you fall off. If you do, you just need to climb back up. But you'll see that we kind of just need to balance ourselves all the way around the top here. And eventually we'll get the white flower. And once you do, we'll get seed number 60. Number 61 is located just west of Scouts Hill. You're going to find a small unnamed hill right over here on the western side of the path. And up on top of this thing, when you get close, you'll see a little cluster of leaves traveling around the hill. Pick those up and we'll get seed number 61. Number 62 is just south of Scouts Hill, right down by the water. You can actually see 3 bigger rocks that are right out here in the lake. And in between those rocks is a circle of lily pads. We're just going to fly across and dive through the middle of those lily pads, and we'll get seed number 62. For number 63, we're going to head just east of Lake Hyrule, and you guys will see just below the chasm here is a pond with a bunch of trees in the middle. We're going to play another game of Follow the Flower. The first one will be right in the middle of the pond, and then there's going to be a flower that spawns right in front of just about every tree that's in here. So just travel your way around collecting all of these yellow flowers. They'll just go back and forth around the trees. Just look around if you get lost, and eventually you'll get the white flower, and once you do, that'll give us seed number 63. Number 64 is pretty much in the same spot as our last seed, east of Lake Hyrule, and just southeast of the chasm, you'll see this long thing on your map, which is a log. If you go inside, you're going to find a piece of wood that you can step on, and all we need to do is float all the way down through the bottom of all these logs. And once you get to the bottom, just land in the yellow circle, and that's going to give us seed number 64. Number 65 is going to be found over by the Dea Village ruins. On your map in the water here, you'll see this really weird circle emblem. That's going to be a giant half log sticking out of the water, and in the middle of that is a cluster of leaves traveling around. Interact with those to get seed number 65. Number 66 is up on the hill just west of the Dea Lake. On your map, you're going to see there's one giant tree up here. If you work your way to the tree, you'll find two statues underneath with two plates. One of the plates already going to have an apple in it. We just need to drop an apple into the second plate. And once you have two apples in the plates, a little poof will happen, the Korok will pop up, and we'll get seed number 66. Number 67 is on the northern side of the Dea Lake. You want to work your way over to this tree that we have marked on your map. And once you get over here, underneath the tree is a pile of leaves you can hit and pick up the small rock that's underneath, and that'll give us seed number 67. Number 68 is going to be found up on the hills of Balmer. You guys can see we'll be on this hill right here. And once you get up top, you're going to find a dandelion on the edge. Go ahead and hit that thing, and you can just jump off and catch it before it touches the ground. And if you do so correctly, you'll get seed number 68. Numbers 69 and 70 are going to be found together on the far northern side of Scouts Hill. You can see we'll be right over here on the edge. And once you get up here, you'll find our little Korok buddy hanging out, and interact with him. And you'll see we need to go on the other side of the lake, which is actually a pretty good distance. So for this one, I highly recommend you only use an airplane. If you decide to go by foot and carry him across the bridge, it's going to take you quite some time to get over there. Not to mention you got to get across the water. So it's much easier to make yourself an airplane and just fly. But once you're over here, drop him off, interact with his buddy, and we'll get our next two seeds. Number 71 is found on the western side of the Proxim Bridge. You can see the bridge here. And once you get over here, we're just going to climb the stairs, and then we'll climb up the little pole on the right side. And we're going to pick up the small rock that's up top, and that's going to give us seed number 71. For number 72, we're going to head over to the eastern side of the Proxim Bridge. And once you work your way up onto the bridge, just run up a little and go to the left, and we're just going to jump off and fly over, and you'll see there's a little spot to land under the bridge. Once you're here, just look up. There'll be a piece of wood on the bottom of the bridge. We're just going to ascend through that piece of wood, and that's going to give you a seed number 72. Number 73 is found on the eastern side of the hills of Balmer. You guys can see our exact location here, and we're just going to play a game of Follow the Flower, starting from the top. Our first one's here. And we're just going to jump from log to log as a flower will spawn on top of each one of these. And when you get to the one that's split, we're just going to jump over here to the right side, and the white flower will be on the end, and that'll give you a seed number 73. Number 74 is just east of the hills of Balmer, where all the trees are here on your map. If you go to the northwestern side of all those trees, you're going to find a giant boulder in the ground, and the wooden stand, fortunately, is right here beside the boulder. So just place that in the stand. Korok will appear, and that'll give us seed number 74. Number 75 is found just northwest of South Nabi Lake. You'll see on your map there's one single tree out here by itself. All we need to do is shoot the acorn that's in the hole in the side of the tree, and that's going to give us seed number 75. Number 76 is really close to where we just got our last seed. This one's going to be up on the hilltop that's just above the Squabble River here. And once you get up top, you'll find that we have a wooden stand. The boulder is going to be all the way down here at the bottom of the hill. You work your way down to the bottom, pick up this boulder. Unfortunately, you don't have to drop it. You can just walk through the grass all the way up the hill here. We're just going to drop this thing into the wooden stand. And once you get it set in stone there, the Korok will appear, and we'll get seed number 76. For number 77, we're going to head just north of the Proxim Bridge, right to the corner of the land that's up here. And we're going to fix a roof. The little piece that we need is right on the edge next to the water. We're just going to pick that thing up and rotate it and drop it into place on this structure. And once it's in place, we'll get seed number 77. Numbers 78 and 79 are going to be found together on the hill that's just north of the Olin Bridge. And once you make it up on this hill, you'll find our little Korok buddy hanging out, who we need to take all the way on the other side of the river. Again, this one's a little bit of a hassle if you're trying to do this on foot, so definitely recommend the airplane. Just make sure you take off from the top of the hill so you don't hit all these trees that are right here on the right-hand side. But we'll just fly our way all the way across the water to the campsite that's right over here next to the trees. And once we interact, we'll be able to get our next 2 seeds. Number 80 is going to be found underneath the Olin Bridge. We're going to start from the right side, and you guys will see from over here, there's a small little piece of land that we can land on if we jump across the river. And there's going to be a small rock right here. Pick up that rock and we'll get seed number 80. Number 81 is going to be found over in the Betrayal Lake, and you'll actually see there's a peninsula here. If you work your way out on that peninsula, there's a really tall tower. Now you can either climb this or just use a rocket on the back of your shield to get up there. But once you make it up top, you'll find a dandelion, and go ahead and hit that. And as long as you catch it before it touches the ground, the Korok will pop up and give you a seed number 81. Number 82 is also found over by the Betrayal Lake. This one's going to be in the middle where the giant log is sticking out of the water. All we need to do is fly inside that log, and you're going to find a puzzle that we need to solve. You want to pick up the piece that's on top and rotate it towards us twice. So once, twice, and once you do that, we're just going to stick it in the bottom right here. It'll fit in perfectly. The Korok will pop up and we'll get seed number 82. Number 83 is going to be found on the far northern side of the Betrayal Lake. And if you work your way to the north side, you're going to find a giant log out here. In the back of that log is going to be an acorn. Just hit that thing with an arrow and that'll give us seed number 83. Number 84 is going to be on the hill just east of the Betrayal Lake. And to make this easier on yourself, just come to this exact location where the marker's at. You're going to find a small rock within the water droplet of this emblem on the ground. Pick up that small rock and you'll get seed 84. Number 85 is going to be on the far southern side of the Knobby Lake. You'll see that we have a small rock out here in the water. Make your way to that rock and just dive off the side into the circle of lily pads, and that'll give you seed number 85. Numbers 86 and 87 are going to be found together on the western side of the Horwell Bridge. You'll see a couple of trees over here. This is where our Korok buddy is going to be hanging out. And when you interact with him, you'll see we need to take him across the bridge all the way over by the mountain. Now, this is one you definitely don't need an airplane for. You can just pick him up, walk him over the bridge, and follow the path. You guys will see that when we get in the sky here, it's not too complicated. You can just follow that path all the way down to the water and drop them off. You shouldn't encounter any enemies, but to be a little bit quicker, we're taking the airplane. And once you drop them off, we'll get our next 2 seeds. Number 88 is going to be found on the western side of the Knobby Lake. We're actually going to be near all these giant rocks you can see in the water. And the first thing you want to do is swim out to the big rock here in front of us, and we're going to get up top. So we'll climb up on this rock. And once we're up here, we're going to fly to the smaller rock that's behind it. When you get out here, you'll see a little piece of wood you can walk on. That's going to spawn a yellow circle back from where we came from. Easiest way is just to climb back over to this rock, jump, and fly across. And once you make your way through that yellow circle, the Korok will appear and we'll get seed number 88. Number 89 is going to be found underneath of the Aegis Bridge. So just make your way out on the bridge. And when you jump off the side here, you guys will see a rock underneath with a cork on it. We're just going to grab the cork that's in the water here and dunk it under. Let go, let it pop out, and that's going to give us seed number 89. For number 90, we're going to head just north of the Aegis Bridge, and up here on this hill, you're going to find one giant tree that's right over here pretty close to the shrine. Make your way to the tree, and we're just going to shoot the acorn that's hanging from the branch. And once you hit the acorn, we'll get seed number 90. Numbers 91 and 92 are going to be found together just east of the bottomless pond, right alongside the Hyrule River. Once you make it out here, you'll find our little Korok buddy hanging out by the edge of the trees. We don't need to take him far at all. We literally just need to take him on the other side of the river. You can make yourself a boat. I just don't trust myself with as fast as the water's going to get across. So I just decided to make an airplane. But again, not too far at all. Just get him over here, drop him off, interact, and you'll get your next 2 seeds. Number 93 is also found on the eastern side of the bottomless pond. You want to come out in the middle of these woods here, and we're going to end up climbing to the tree that's highest on the hill. It's a much bigger tree than the rest. We're just going to climb to the top of that tree. There's going to be a small rock up top. Now you need to position yourself correctly so that you can actually pick it up. And once you get this thing, we'll get seed number 93. Number 94 is going to be just south of the wetland stable. You'll see on your map all these woods. We're going to be on the southern side of the woods, and we're going to have some pretty massive rocks. If we climb up on the smaller one over here, we're going to pick up the really small rock, And we're going to drop this thing off on the bigger one over here. And if you line this thing up right into place to create the square, the Korok will then pop up and give us seed number 94. Number 95 is also found southwest of the wetland stable over by the river, and you'll find a bunch of red arrows pointing at these small little hills. We're just going to climb up on the middle hill that kind of stands up the highest here, and if you walk over to the ledge, there'll be a cluster of leaves that spawn. Interact with those, and we'll get seed number 95. Numbers 96 and 97 are going to be found together just southeast of the wetland stable, and right on the tree line here, you'll find our Korok friend hanging out on top of a rock. Interact with him, and you'll see that we need to take him all the way on the other side of the field. Again, not too difficult at all. You can just carry him over there. If you are going to take an airplane, be extremely careful right here. You can see we barely made it in between all the trees. But if you run into one of these trees, it's going to crash your plane and cause issues. If you do decide to go on foot, you'll probably encounter a couple enemies, so be prepared for that. But either way, once you get over here, bring the Korok to his buddy, interact, and we'll get the next 2 seeds. Number 98 is found just west of the wetland stable and the Rebene Bridge on this hilltop here. And once you make it up top, you'll find a dandelion on a rock. Go ahead and hit that thing, and as long as you catch it before it touches the ground, you'll end up getting the Korok to appear and giving you seed number 98. 99 is going to be found just northwest of the Rebene Bridge, where you see the little structures on your map. And once you get up here, we just need to fix a roof. We're going to grab the piece off this structure over here, and we'll rotate it around and drop it into place on this structure. And once it's locked into place, the Korok will appear and give us seed number 99. For number 100, we want to head to the western side of the Rebene Bridge, and we're going to work our way underneath. But on this western side, if you go underneath here, you will see we have a small piece of wood we can step on. That's going to spawn a yellow circle across the river. We'll climb up on the rock, go through the yellow circle. That will spawn the Korok and give us seed number 100. Number 101 is going to be found just southeast of Krenel Peak. You'll see we have a couple structures here on our screen. We're going to go inside the one structure here that's got the pile of leaves. Go ahead and smack those leaves, pick up the small rock underneath, and that'll give us seed in number 101. Number 102 is also east of Krenel Peak. We're going to be right on the edge of the water here. You can actually see a couple small circles in the water. There's going to be a tower in the sand, and we want to get on top of that. Now, you can either climb the tower or you can just fly across from the hill that's next to it. But we're going to have a pinwheel up here that spawns 3 balloons. One's going to be in the middle not moving, and the other 2 are going to be flying around the first one. But once you hit all 3 of those balloons, the Korok will appear and we'll get seed number 102. For number 103, we're going to head to the very top of Krenel Peak. And once you make it all the way up to the actual top, you'll find a pile of leaves we can smack and pick up the small rock that's underneath those leaves, and that'll give us seed number 103. Number 104 is going to be found just south of the Krenel Peak, where you see the cluster of trees on your map, and you'll find a really tall rock with a dandelion on the top in the middle of these trees. Go ahead and hit that dandelion. If you're lucky, you can jump off and catch it. If you fall, just make sure you catch it before it touches the ground. And if you do so correctly, you'll get seed in number 104. Number 105 is going to be found just northeast of the Appling Forest. We're going to come right over here by the water in front of this little island you see. And before we go to the island, we're going to pick up the small rock that's on this side, and we're going to take that thing to the other side and drop it off. Then we can swim across the water here, and all we need to do is fill in the square with this new rock. And once you get this thing lined up close enough, the Korok will pop up and give us seed number 105. Number 106 is going to be found just west of Krenel Peak. We're going to be on this mountainside over here, and if you come to this exact location, you're going to find this really cool looking skull rock. We're going to go inside, and you'll find a piece of wood on the ceiling. We're just going to ascend through that piece of wood, and once we make it up top, the Korok will appear and give us seed number 106. Number 107 is found right in between Krenel Peak and Krenel Hills. You'll see we have a cluster of about 7 tree stumps right here. If you start on the northern side, we're just going to play a game of follow the flower on these tree stumps. The first one was obviously right there. The second one's over here. The third one's going to be on the stump right in front of us once again. Fourth one on the stump on the right. And then the 5th one will be on the tree stump right here in front of us, so we can get all of those. And once you collect them all, we'll get seed number 107. Number 108 is going to be found over on top of Krenel Hills. We're going to be just southeast of the whole mountain, and you'll see we have one black dot up here, which is a single tree stump. There's going to be a flower inside, and once again, we're going to play a game of follow the flower along the mountainside here. There's not too many, I believe only 5. Come up here, grab this one, and then we're just going to work our way down the hill, and you will see our last flower spawns right here in the middle. So we'll fly on down here, grab that, and that's going to give us seed number 108. Number 109 is going to be found just east of Korok Hills down by the water. You can actually see this little circular island in the middle of the water. It's going to be another giant skull rock. We're going to fly down to it, and inside is a balloon. Hit that balloon with an arrow and we'll get seed number 109. Number 110 is going to be just northeast of Korok Hills down by the water. You want to come to this exact location that we have marked, and you'll find a little opening by the water where we can get in. We're going to swim around the left side. There's going to be a small hidden cave that we can go inside of and a small rock in the back. Pick up that small rock and we'll get seed number 110. Number 111 is going to be found on the southwestern side of the Korok Hills. If you come to this exact location, you're going to find what looks like a half tunnel, and inside of that tunnel is going to be a cluster of leaves just traveling around the ground. Interact with those to get seed number 111. Number 112 is located on the southern side of Korok Hills. If you come over here to this exact location, it'll be hard to miss. There's going to be a giant half log. We're just going to fly across to that half log and hit the dandelion that's on the top, and then we just need to jump off and catch it before it touches the ground. And once you do that, you'll get seed number 112. For number 113, you want to head down to the Orsed Bridge, and we're going to be on the eastern side of this bridge. And once you make your way over here, we're going to jump off and go underneath, and you'll see a circle of lily pads. Now you're going to be too low to dive, so just come right over here to this rock and dive off the rock. And once you make it through the center, the Korok will appear and give us seed number 113. Numbers 114 and 115 are going to be found together on the western side of the Orsed Bridge. Once you make your way over here, you'll find our little Korok buddy hanging out by the building materials. Interact with him, and you'll see we need to take him across the river. Now, this is another one of those easy ones where you could just pick him up, go across the bridge, and walk over to the campsite. But to save a little bit of time, I decided to make an airplane to fly across. You can just crash land next to it or go in a circle so you can get a little bit closer. Either way, just get the Korok guy over here and put him with his buddy, interact, and you'll be able to get your next 2 seeds. Number 116 is found over in the Romani Plains, just north of the Yamago shrine that's out here. And when you get out here, you're going to find 3 towers. We're going to play a game of follow the flower on top of these towers. So climb up the first one, you'll get your first flower here. Second flower is on top of the second one, and then you want to look down. There's a really short one where the third flower will be. The fourth one's going to be at the top of the wall right here in front of us. We'll climb up, grab number 4, and number 5 is going to spawn right on the very top, and that's going to give you seed number 116. Numbers 117 and 118 are going to be found together just northwest of Korok Hills on the edge of this island. And once you get out here, you'll find our little Korok buddy hanging out by the apple tree, and we do not need to take him far at all, just on the other side of the river. Now, you can make yourself a boat, which is honestly probably the easiest way, but as always, I decided to make another airplane. But either way, just get yourself across the river, drop him off with his friends, interact, and you'll get your next 2 seeds. Number 119 is going to be found on the northern side of the Helm Head Bridge. And once you make your way out here, we're just going to go to the left side of the bridge here and come down the side of the rock. You'll see there's a little corridor with an acorn hanging on the inside. Now you can hit it from the rock. If you end up falling like me, you can just come inside the corridor. But either way, once you hit the acorn, you're going to get seed number 119. Number 120 is going to be found on the southern side of the Hyrule Forest Park. You can see our location here. There's going to be an old fountain with a cluster of leaves traveling around it. Interact with those leaves, and that'll give us seed number 120. Number 121 is going to be found on the southern side of the Boneyard Bridge. You can see where we're at here. And we're going to come right over here to the left side of the bridge, and if you look underneath, you'll see an acorn hanging from it. Go ahead and hit that acorn and we'll get seed number 121. Number 122 is going to be found just northeast of the East Castle town. You can see on your map here we have a small log. That's where we want to go, as there's going to be an acorn inside of that log. We're going to hit it with an arrow. The Korok will appear and give us seed number 122. Number 123 is going to be found inside of the East Castle town. And our exact marker on the screen is right beside this little structure on your map. That's going to be a little rundown building. Go ahead and go inside and look up. There's a piece of wood on the ceiling that we can ascend through. And once you ascend to the top, the Korok will appear and give us seed number 123. Number 124 is going to be found just north of Lookout Landing, right in front of the main gate that leads up to the Hyrule Castle town ruins. What we're going to do is either climb to the top of the gate or use a rocket on your shield if it's raining. There's going to be a small rock up here that we can pick up. Go ahead and pick that up and we'll get seed number 124. Number 125 is going to be found on the southwestern side of the Hyrule Castle town ruins. You'll see here in the path there's going to be a little structure. That's going to be another rundown building that we can go inside of. In this one, we're going to have a pile of leaves we can smack and just pick up the small rock underneath the leaves, and we'll get seed number 125. Our 126th and final seed in the region is going to be found right in the middle of Central Square in the Hyrule Castle town ruins. All we need to do is climb up on top of the statue here, and you guys will see in the middle of the statue is a small rock. Go ahead and pick that thing up and you'll get seed number 126. But this is how to find all 126 Korok seeds here in the Hyrule field. If you guys have any other questions, make sure to leave them down in the comment section below, and we'll see you guys in the next video.